This is your news source evening bulletin for today, Tuesday, the 28th day of August in the year 2018. Here's what we're tracking tonight. The General Council of the Guyana Teachers Union has decided that the union will offer a partial cash relief for those striking teachers who will see money being deducted from their salaries for absent days. At an afternoon press conference today, just after the General Council wrapped up its meeting, GTU President Mark Light assured that the union will offer the relief. He said the union will be able to offer teachers at least 50% of the money deducted from their salaries, and there is enough money in the GTU's accounts to cover that cost for at least a month.
Well, we are hoping, because many of our teachers were they were not sure based on the fact that they are thinking about monies being lost. So now that the union is coming out to say we will support our teachers who proceed on strike, they should give those who are in between and betwixt the confidence to go forward with the strike action, because that was one of the hard decisions we know that many of our members face.
There are over 10,000 teachers in the public education system. The GTU president told reporters that once the number of striking teachers would be over 3,000, the union would have to look at partial relief and not a full relief. He also announced today that the union intends to write to the commercial banks and other credit agencies and major stores informing them of the strike action and requesting that teachers be allowed some leniency with their financial commitments in terms of credit and other loan facilities. The GTU is hoping that its move to offer strike relief will reassure teachers of its commitment to them and get more teachers to support the strike action. The Guyana Teachers Union will attend a conciliation meeting tomorrow, which has been called by the Chief Labor Officer as part of the collective bargaining agreement to deal with the impasse. However, the union has indicated that it has no faith and no trust in the Labor Department to be an impartial mediator in the process.
The minutes would reflect that the Minister with responsibility for Labour, the Honourable Mr. Keith Scott, would have pronounced as minuted in the minutes of the first meeting. He made several pronouncements pleading with the union to accept the offer, and that in itself for us is a compromise if the minister is going to call us to agree on something further. At the second meeting, the minister did not attend, but we had the Chief Labor Officer who also pronounced on the union, pleading with the union to sign off on what was agreed already. So we felt that their position has been compromised even before it reached the stage of conciliation.
The GTU president also said today that he lays full blame for the strike action at the feet of the president.
We are open to an audience with the president if he calls us tomorrow. We wrote the president on the delay relating to the feedback from cabinet. The president wrote to say that the Minister of Education will deal with it going forward. So we felt that if the president was going to deal with it, then obviously rather than passing it through to the Minister of Education, he would have dealt with it himself. But why I say we laid at his feet, it was the president who stopped the action in October 2017 by putting a task force in place. And now that the report is before him, he has to take the blame for it.
Today marked the second day of strike action by teachers across the country. More news in a moment.
Summer is for selfies with lots of data from GTT. Activate a 3-day or more data plan to get up to 35% extra data and a chance to win big. LOL this summer with GTT, Guyana's #1 network.
Summer is for friends, weekly prizes, and super summer getaways from Caribbean Airlines. So top up $1,000 or more and get 25% bonus credit plus a chance to win big. LOL this summer with GTT, Guyana's #1 network.
Welcome back. Schools across the country will open their doors on Monday for the new school year. If the current strike action by teachers across the country continues into next week, the Education Ministry has announced that its contingency plan will be put in place. That plan includes the placement of retired teachers and trainee teachers in the classrooms. But as the countdown to the reopening of school begins, many teachers appear undecided about whether they will go into the classrooms. For those who are undecided and thinking about going against the strike action, the General Secretary of the Guyana Teachers Union, Coretta MacDonald, wants them to know that they will be fully responsible for the schools and all that takes place in the schools during the strike action.
I would want to say to the teachers and the other teachers, they had teachers and the other teachers who are going to be venturing out to school. Let me make it known that when you go to school, if you have 3 teachers there, then the responsibility is that of the 3 teachers who are present to ensure that the people's children are taken care of. And if anything should happen during that period, then you might have to go to the Minister of Education to seek recourse in whatever would have happened there.
At an afternoon press conference, she also said that once the teachers accept the keys for the schools, then they have to accept all the responsibilities of being in charge.
I want to let them know that accepting the keys for the school, it's your responsibility to write the log at the end of the day. It's your responsibility to ensure that the children are being taught. It's your responsibility to ensure that the school door is closed. And mind you, when we submit our keys and we submit our inventories, if anything goes missing, then you will have to account for it. We just want to lay that on the table.
The General Secretary said her warning should not be seen as a threat, but those boycotting the strike action need to fully understand the responsibilities. And when questioned by news source about whether parents should send their children to school, the GTU General Secretary had this to say.
I have my school-age child, and I'm not sending my child to school to be in the company of anybody that I'm not sure of. I will not send my child to school. When this issue would have been resolved, and I know that we have the full complement and competent teachers there, my child will attend school. So that decision is the decision of the parents, whether you want to send your child to idle or to be, God forbid, for anybody to interfere with them or for anybody to mislead them with regards to the curriculum. That's your decision.
The GTU says based on its feedback, most teachers intend to stay away from school once the strike action continues into next week. Well, with schools set to reopen their doors on Monday, the Ministry of Education is continuing its outreach across the country to meet with teachers and parents and to tell the government's side of the story. This morning, the Education Minister met with parents and teachers at the Hope School on the east coast of Demerara, and she assured them that the government intends to go all the way to resolve the salary disputes with teachers. Minister Nicolette Henry.
I'm not the first Minister of Education to address this issue, but I hope I will be the last one because I want to put this issue to rest. We will go all the way to resolve it, and we will resolve it amicably in the interest of the people of this country. Sometimes as leaders, you find yourself in tough situations, but I have to say that where people matter, you will have to put the people first.
Minister Henry said she is set to attend tomorrow's conciliation meeting with the union, which has been called by the Department of Labor. She said the government's position is that it has to put the interest of the people first, even in a tough situation.
I want to point out that the union, in their own deliberate judgment, decided that some of them, what they were proposing was so much out of line. In fact, they said we shouldn't even put that out there. And so they took it off. I said, no problem. We are negotiating in good faith. It is the union who on every occasion that the meeting broke down, the union either walked out, the union didn't show up, but we will continue to. Out of 8 matters that came up, the government agreed in part or in whole to 7 out of 8. How could any rational human being say that that represents disrespect?
The education minister said with the negotiations there were 8 matters that were presented to the government for consideration, and the government has agreed to 7 of those 8 requests by the GTU. The outstanding one remains the salary and allowances issue. Finally tonight, the government has announced the appointment of Australian-born oil and gas expert Matthew Wilkes as the new oil and gas advisor to the Department of Energy. In a statement this afternoon, the Ministry of the Presidency described him as an experienced senior oil and gas business developer and negotiator. According to the ministry, Wilkes has 32 years of experience in the global oil and gas industry, spanning all segments of the energy value chain, including exploration and production, liquid natural gas, pipeline transportation, power generation, and project financing. He previously held management responsibility for internal asset management and joint venture operations. During his career, he has worked for or opposite several heads of state, other senior government officials, and senior corporate executives. He will be based in Georgetown. He has worked in Asia, East Africa, Europe, the Middle East, and South America, and had corporate portfolio responsibility for assets in Central Asia, the Levant, and North Africa. The new oil and gas advisor most recently was the chief commercial officer at Maersk Oil, where he was involved in projects in Angola, Kazakhstan, Kenya, Norway, and Qatar. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. Gordon Mosley reporting.